Ah, yes. It is the Matt Mosley show with Scotty Swingler alongside here at Rogue Media Network. Anything going on, Scotty? Do we have any? Oh, yeah, we got Aggies today. We got some Cowboys. Schottenheimer has spoken. Oh, and we do have some big time Baylor breaking news. And Scotty, I think it would be a fair time to considering how breaking this is, and we've each hour today we've learned more and more from the school. I've got texts coming in, and whoa, it is rough, and I'm hearing from former Baylor employees. There it is. There is the breaking news sounder, and man, it is. And by the way, I'm giving. I was just watching my phone, Scotty. It's been lighting up with everybody reaching out to me. What do you know? What do you know? What do you know? It's like, okay, good. I'm everybody's like personal investigator. Listen, I'm talking to people. I'm trying to get to the bottom of this too. Scotty, I just saw something and it said, do I want to join something live? And I'm like, I don't know what this is. What is this? And it was the thing that comes through on Twitter. Like, do I want to join my own show live? I guess I should. I guess I should jump on there and pad my numbers or whatever. But tons of text messages coming in. We're going to be reacting to this. We want to stick with the facts. Are we hearing all kinds of things? Absolutely. What we know now is that Mack Rhoades has stepped away from Baylor for personal reasons. He'll be away for 4 weeks. According to Baylor, they have declined any further comment. This has been reported as another allegation has come in. The allegation came in Monday. You'll recall Tuesday night, there he is representing Baylor and representing all of college athletics as the college football playoff chairperson on national TV. Now, as has been reported already, I had been told, Scotty, that there was a meeting that was supposed to take place last night, just a dinner with some, and I think this was I think this was a fairly standard type thing that was supposed to take place last night with some very, very high up donors from Baylor, and they were going to have dinner with Mack, which is not unusual. This was not like, oh my gosh, what were they going to talk about? These things happen. He's in town. He did the college football playoff thing Tuesday night. Maybe he stays in town Wednesday for further meetings or further, he had to do all the media stuff. I don't know. About 3 hours before that meeting, they receive a message that, and I don't know, it was like, I would say the circle of people that were supposed to be in that meeting were about 8 to 10 people. We're gonna have dinner. Sadly, Scotty, I was not invited. It's shocking. You'd think they would want me to stop by. Maybe because I'm in the media, they thought that might not be a great idea. 3 hours before, about 3 hours before, they all received text messages or some form of messaging that said, "Sorry, Mack cannot attend the dinner. We had to call it off because of personal reasons." Okay. Now, I think most of them kind of were like, okay, whatever, not a big deal. I would say in the context of what all's been out there right now, I would say those of the group that are kind of more like a little more in tune, probably their ears perked up and were like, okay, that's weird. We were all looking forward to going out and meeting with him, and maybe Mack was going to bring them into the circle and say, hey, that was tough. That story that's come out, I don't know. I don't know what he was planning to cover in that, but it didn't happen. It didn't happen. Today, he steps away for personal reasons. What happens when there's a lack of information and a lack of explanation? Well, stuff's going to start swirling locally, and Scotty and I, believe me, have already started to hear it all. But we're going to stick with what we know, which is there was another allegation that came in Monday. But it has been reported both by Yahoo Sports and I believe further by ESPN, not Title IX, not including a student athlete, none of those things, like the story with Michael Trigg that we talked about Monday. But Scotty, this is another allegation. Now, there are drips and draps that have come in with some of this reporting. And I wanted to talk about that meeting because, by the way, I don't want to say like Mosley's breaking this news about that meeting that didn't happen. The Mack, and I think they called it skipping that meeting, that was addressed in an Outkick story. Only thing I'm sharing is just kind of what I was hearing about that this morning and before, so, any of this kind of came out. So, but I started hearing that and my ears did perk up. And so there's that. Now, this latest Outkick story, and they had all the story, and they are the ones who broke the Michael Trigg story and the subsequent confrontation, altercation with an assistant coach. All right, that was Outkick. They have since come back, and Scotty, right before we came on, I was looking at the wording just so I would have this right. They were saying they are reporting that in the past couple of months, there have been complaints about verbal abuse with some of the members of the athletic department. And again, where is this coming from? Outkick. Outkick the coverage. It's a website. It's a very right-leaning website, but again, they do reporting and they do interesting stories and columns and all of that. And in this case, there's no politics involved. It's a straight up news story they have done. I just kind of want to give you the context of who that is. Outkick is generally a place that's been known to have, okay, what's the political spin on this? It's generally these people are being way too liberal. This is that. That's fine. Okay, they can do whatever they want. But this is a news story that they've done, which Baylor, by the way, has not disputed any of the Michael Trigg reporting and any of the latest reporting that Outkick has done. And this new allegation comes in the aftermath of this Michael Trigg story. Now, oh, great, Scotty. Let me, sorry, buddy. I tend to move around so much that my tracking camera goes crazy at times. It's okay. That's how you know it's live. Thank you, Central National Bank. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for your constant support. Thank you for being the presenting sponsor of this show. Thank you, Brian Fonville. I know the C&B folks, they're very, very tied into Baylor. They got that great sponsorship with the women's basketball program. They're watching this closely. In fact, some of them are probably watching our live stream. Thank you, C&B. Thank you for what you do. And very excited. I think there's some new ads coming out that have to do with the women's basketball program. We're excited to see that. And that'll be great in the coming days. Scotty, the major questions and the fallout from this latest allegation, and we don't know what it is. We're hearing little things along the way, like the Outkick part that had the verbal abuse. I've told y'all before, Mack runs hot. I've seen it. Now, again, he's come after me, never put his hands on me or anything like that. He's certainly been mad at me. I don't care. Like, I always am kind of thankful and grateful when people confront me rather than carve me up or behind my back, like some people like to do. Not about me. I'm not making this about me. I'm saying, some people just go around in general. Let's whisper about this. I appreciated Mack was mad at me and he came right at me. Now, but he's never done anything close to has he put his hand? No, none of that. Do I think Mack Rhoades is a hothead at times? Yes, I do. Have I had mostly wonderful back and forth experiences with him? Yes. He's done a lot of great things for Baylor, but man, he's in a bad spot here. I hope he's okay. They said he's taking his own leave, like that he is the one who's initiating the leave. So first of all, let me just say, I am really concerned about him and that he's going to be okay. And as a friend, yes, I cover him. Yes, I criticize him at times. Is he a friend of mine? Yes, he is. But this is a bad look for the Bears. It's a bad look for Baylor. This is an embarrassing. I mean, you already have a school that had a huge scandal 10 years ago. I can tell you this about this latest, what they're dealing with. And Scotty, the particulars. Jovan Overshone, Cody Hall, they're the ADs right now to interim. Let's call them interim. They're not really ADs. They're just stepping up and sort of acting in that role. They're interim. One is the deputy athletic director, was Jovan. Cody's the chief operating officer, external. I don't know all the titles, but anyway, they're both being bumped up. Make no mistake about it. If you want to know who's running this investigation, who's running the decisions over the Baylor Athletic Department right now, it is President Livingstone in a big way. And somebody said to me today, "Oh, what does she know?" Well, I don't know. She played college basketball. She's been on every committee in the NCAA has to offer. She's been a huge part of the Big 12 and we're working with Brett Yormark. So I think she has plenty to offer. I think she knows plenty. So she is running point on everything that's happening. I can't stress that enough. If there are people out there like, who's in charge? What's going on? Now, if you're asking about the future of Dave Aranda, who knows? I mean, that was even the case with Mack on the job, that we were like, well, are we certain they fire him if they go 6-6? What's going to happen? We think if they lose out or lose 2 out of 3, they're probably going to get fired. I don't know. I mean, what happens now? I think those are all valid questions. And this is what's going down right now. And it's, and Scotty, come in here for a minute. I wanted to kind of start out and kind of give everybody the latest and get everybody caught up, and we can update people as news unfolds. But I think the Dave Aranda aspect of this is they've got a 5-4 coach. It's a strange situation. You have 2 people now that have been elevated that probably aren't going to be the ones that would make this decision. Mack, at least for the next 4 weeks, is on a leave of absence. Now, does that mean that they can't get a hold of him if they needed to ask him something or whatever? I don't think so. I think they could absolutely probably get a hold of him, but he's right now. And so I just can't stress enough. I think, President Livingstone is running everything and is in charge. But Scotty, what a time for something like this to happen. I mean, this is just this is an awful thing for Baylor. And now, again, it's all in perspective. Is it awful as some of the things we've seen in the past? No, not anywhere close to that. But it's just bad in the sense that it's embarrassing we have somebody who represents our university that's the face of the CFP. He's the chairperson of CFP. So not only does he have to step down from the Baylor, take a leave of absence there, he has to step down there. So then it becomes a national story, a double whammy for Baylor. And if you're wondering, okay, is Mack going to get fired? I mean, it does not look good. Again, if there's something personal going on, man, I pray that he gets the help he needs. And I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is he's taking leave for and what it is. You, especially our audience in Waco, and boy, if you're on the message boards and all, you're going to start hearing this and hearing that. Here it is. I would implore you to try to be charitable in your thought process and in how you talk about this story. Now, I know how this works, though. How many, Scotty, I bet combined, you and I have gotten somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 different text messages, 50 different people. And I'm being fairly conservative there. And, it's just like, what's going on? What's going on? I mean, the minute you saw the news break, you're with me. You can imagine right when I saw it, and everybody's wanting to know. And listen, I got people at other universities. I got coaches at different places. What's happening? What's going on? What's going on with Mack? Wish I could tell you. But I do know that it's extremely unfortunate, and it's very embarrassing for the university. And it's just at a time when, Scotty, it was already, chaotic with not knowing if you're going to need a new head coach or not in football, and not knowing the football program. And then the story that came out Friday, this is further destabilizing the athletic administration, the university, and everything. And as we've often said, Scotty, what is the Baylor Athletic Department? It's the front door. We always hear about it. It's the front door to the university. And right now, across the country again, and Scotty, don't act like we don't have buddies from other universities who are doing the whole thing. Oh, Baylor's going to Baylor's, and we deserve it in some ways. We deserve it because, we can't get out of our own way, and it's extremely unfortunate. Now, I want to say that, and this is the way I said be charitable, I can't tell everybody how to be. I can only be in charge of how I'm going to be. I hope he's okay.
Yep.
I think you and others made that comment. Well, my gosh, he looks thin. My gosh, he looks tired. Oh my goodness, yep. this and that. Now, there's a lot of stress to that job. I saw somebody comment, something about maybe needing to, I'm not even going to say though, because they don't be like, oh, Mosley's. But Scotty, we all need to decompress every once in a while, right? We all need to step away and whatever. But this is more than that. This is more than, oh, he's got so much stress. He's dealing with it. There's something we don't know yet. Part of it is, okay, yes, the university seems to be investigating another allegation. He's decided on his own to step away for personal reasons. He does not appear to me, I'll say this, because I do know him pretty well, in fact. He does not look like himself. He does not quite sound like himself.
Yep.
Okay? And I have been in touch with him, but not in our normal sort of poking, me poking him with a sharp stick, laughing over things. I'll give you a little more context, Scotty. This is me. This is typical me, Scotty. I bring you on, and then I don't give you a chance to talk, but I promise I will. But
we got to get to Travis here in a second, but I'll talk later.
Is Travis with us?
Yep.
Can we go straight to Travis and then take a break right after that?
Yep. We'll just need a longer break, but that's fine.
All right. Let's get Travis. Let's get Travis in here.
What's going on?
Travis, I don't know if you heard any of that, but we've got a little Baylor scandal. It's unfortunately what we seem to do best. And
I was riveted.
Yeah.
Y'all could just keep going. I was on the edge of my seat here.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's a crazy deal. And Travis, you remember the scandal from a decade ago. You know, this is a whole different thing, thank goodness, but it's still crazy to have the college football playoff. And you can speak to this, by the way, because you cover the Aggies. Travis Brown with us, great Aggies insider, the official Aggie insider of the Matt Mosley show. And he's sitting there probably getting ready to go do another news conference. Aggies number 3 in the country. But you've been kind of watching Mack Rhoades on these Tuesday night national ESPN, and you hear the Aggies react to him because he keeps getting asked, okay, why is A&M 3 instead of number 2 or number 1? And he'll say, well, defense is the differentiator. And whether there may be some truth to that or whatever, but he hasn't ingratiated himself with the Aggies. So I'm interested, by the way, Travis, I bet the Aggies, they're probably going to get mad at the next guy too, right? Because the next guy will come up with another reason to keep A&M at number 3 if they beat South Carolina on Saturday and Indiana takes care of business and Ohio State takes care of business. But I want to first of all thanks for coming on, and I'm always excited to have you on. But how do you think the Aggies have viewed these comments from Mack Rhoades and just the way they've been treated by the CFP? Because it's not like they've been treated badly, but they probably in their mind think, you know what, these metrics make us look pretty dang good here. Is there any great reason why we stay down here at number 3? How have the Aggies viewed that? And then how do you think the Aggies are reacting to this Mack Rhoades news today?
Yeah, well, first off, I thank you for thinking that I'm, on the way to some big important press conference. I'm actually sitting excitedly here in the parking lot of the academy so I can get some golf balls for a golf round I'm about to go play. Yeah, that's actually been a point. And the thing to point to with the Aggie eye roll at Mack Rhoades so far through this whole process is the fact that in the first teleconference when they're asked about A&M and Indiana and Ohio State, and he's kind of going through the things that A&M has been good at this year. He actually referred to A&M's quarterback as Marcus Reed, and that has come back. That's something that A&M fans have been sticking on a lot lately. But yeah, I get it. I mean, it is 3 teams that are undefeated that have really good seasons. All 3 of them haven't necessarily played the most difficult schedule this year. And so if there is a differentiating factor, if you want to try to differentiate them, defense is a big differentiating factor. Ohio State, Indiana are right there in the top 5 in most defensive metrics. A&M is in 23rd, all the way as low as 50 in some of the defensive metrics. But I think the thing that I've said too, and I think most of the A&M fans agree with as well, if you're in 1 through 3, if you're a top 3 in the college football player rankings or going into the bracket top 3, it doesn't really matter. You get the bye. Maybe if you're number 2, you get to play a little bit closer to home. But really for A&M, it's either going to be the Cotton Bowl or the Sugar Bowl, probably, if they're in that situation. So what does it matter if you're 1 or number 3 heading into that? I don't know if it does that much.
What if they lost to UT? And then I don't know what that would do to them about the SEC title game and all, but in those scenarios, what is the scenario that A&M falls out of the top 4? Would they have to lose twice?
I think if they lose in the regular season, there's a good chance that they fall out of the top 4. I think the way that this is shaping up, if they make it to the SEC title game, probably the 1 through 4 is going to be SEC Big Ten winner, number 1, number 2, SEC Big Ten loser as 3 and 4, and then the rest of the field. So I think if you can get to that title game, undefeated, which they'll probably need to be undefeated to get to that title game, they'll probably be secure there.
All right. But the Horns could get in this playoff even with 3 losses, is what people seem to think. I'm sure the Ags love that commentary, but it's kind of wild, isn't it, to watch them struggle and feel like they're in chaos for much of this season. And then you come out and you look at these projected brackets, and there they are. There they are, just sitting right there. And the thought process being they might be able to survive even a loss to the Aggies. It's kind of amazing.
It's the darndest thing being in the SEC apparently will do. So
what about being in the Big 12? Yeah, that doesn't I don't know if that bodes as well for some of these teams. And it's interesting to see BYU fall where they did, see where Miami now is in relation to it's all of it is very, very interesting. So what now? Tell me what the vibe is right now with in Aggie land with just, I mean, everything going on. This game coming up. Is there still the Aggies that are like, oh, we got to be ready for South Carolina, or is it just at this point? Is it just so much excitement? I mean, this is unprecedented in a lot of ways because this whole playoff thing really didn't exist, obviously, when A&M's been great in the past. What's the vibe down there?
Yeah, I think for this game in particular, I think there's like a double-edged sword. I think people are getting pretty excited because if you look ahead at how the way things should go, A&M should beat South Carolina. They really surely should beat Samford leading into that Texas game where kind of everything is on the table. And so it's kind of seems like maybe 2 weeks to celebrate where they are. But there's the other edge of that, and that is last year when A&M went to South Carolina at about this time of the year, they went and lost Le'Veon Moss and then ultimately lost that game. And that's what kind of caused the downward tumble back to 8-4 for the season. And so I think they're excited. There's celebration because they can't go 8-4 this season. They've already gotten to 9 wins, and they've kind of that a little bit. But yeah, I think so far has been hopeful optimism or cautious optimism through the season. I think it's starting to kind of finally feel like they're getting pretty excited for where this thing could be headed because, like I said, it should be a win. I think it's a 19-point spread against South Carolina and then Samford leading into that Texas game. So right now, things are feeling, I think, pretty good for Aggie fans down here.
All right. And by the way, your Wi-Fi there is getting a little wonky on you. I may need you to tap into the Academy Wi-Fi or something like that. But you were calling out on us there. You're looking a little better there. What golf balls, what brand of golf balls are you thinking about getting? Are you a Pro V1 guy? Do you go with the inexpensive? What direction do you like to go?
Yeah, well, I was about to say, first off, I'm a journalist, so it's not the Pro V1s. I'm a big fan of the red golf ball because then I don't have to drive. I'm playing with a buddy. I don't have to drive my cart over to see, oh, is that my ball or is that your ball? I know that bad shot is my ball. So a little maybe red, a little red, bright red Titleist is usually what I'm going with, like a Titleist True Feel.
I need to, by the way, you got to tell me who they're going to hire as the soccer coach. The coach retired. I have got some ties to that program, so I do want to hear. But before you do that, Marcel Reed, or as we could call him, what Mack apparently called him, are you sensing like if he has like a breakout huge game against South Carolina, and he's had great games all year, but he maybe hasn't put up the numbers that some other quarterbacks have put up. I mean, he could end up, having a huge game in Austin. And that would give him a monstrous Heisman moment, although that's getting close to a lot of the Heisman voting. It kind of happens right after that. You're going to need to get the votes in by, what is it usually, middle of December, 1st December, I'm just trying to think how, when that is, December 6th, something by then. What do you think there's a way Reed could vault himself truly into this conversation for the Heisman? Or do you kind of think Mendoza, Julian's saying it's those guys to lose?
Yeah, I think that he probably needs some guys ahead of him to maybe lose a game, have a bad game, throw some interceptions. I think he's just on the outside looking in because his stats just aren't really comparable. He's not there in completion percentage. He's not there in passing yards. He hasn't really, I mean, other than the Notre Dame game, which unfortunately, I guess for him happened early in the season. So that wasn't as strong of a Heisman push. I think he's going to need Indiana, Ohio State, one of those teams to maybe necessarily lose. And then for me, he's not even necessarily the best player on offense for A&M. I would put Casey Concepcion and Mario Craver ahead of him if I'm talking about just MVPs for the offense. Now, I get the Heisman now is a quarterback award and everything like that, but I just don't, barring some kind of unbelievable like Max Duggan in the Big 12 title game type performance, I think he's going to be on the outside looking in the whole time.
Okay, and my co-host, producer, Scotty Swingler, is like a huge Ruben guy. Ruben Owens, is that right? Is that number 4? Okay, so he's busting loose. It's amazing. That shows the kind of recruiting they've done because you've got Ruben. Morrow in the passing game, 23. I know this roster for some reason, Travis. I know the Aggie roster way better than I ever have in the past. Maybe it has something to do with having a freshman daughter down there now. But 23, the running back, and then of course Emmitt Smith's son, EJ Smith, has stepped in. I mean, it's pretty wild, isn't it, that you can lose a Le'Veon Moss, like a huge, huge weapon, and really be okay and not miss a step. And to your point, I saw them early this season in person, UTSA, especially Concepcion. And I said to you, I'm like, that's different. Not that they haven't had great receivers and Muhsin Muhammad and Mike Evans. And the list goes on and on. They've had great, great wide receivers. Okay. We could name 5 to 10 of them off the top of our head. But these guys are extremely dynamic. And then you got the Finnish or wherever he's from, Sweden, the Swedish tight end, to go along with the dude that caught the one against Notre Dame. It's probably the deepest attack I can recall at A&M in the past 20 years.
Yeah, A&M's always had maybe a guy, whether it's Christian Kirk or Anais Smith or one of those guys. But they've never had multiple guys, and so there's been plenty of games where a team has been able to bracket that one receiver, and they don't really have another answer in the passing game. Well, today, this year they have Mario Craver, they have Casey Concepcion, they have Ashton Bethel Roman, they have Terry Bussey. The list goes on and on. Mario Craver's actually even listed as questionable for this game at South Carolina. And so it might be a game where you need an Ashton Bethel Roman or a Terry Bussey or somebody like that to step up. But they have never had, in the SEC era, and I'm even talking about Johnny days, they've never had a wide receiving group as deep as this one that they have this year. And a lot of that's thanks to the transfer portal because they were able to go out and get some guys. But Mario Craver, fun fact, he is second in the nation in yards after catch, and he's 6th in the nation in missed tackles created per Pro Football Focus. They get the ball to him within 9 yards and just kind of watch him slither out of stuff. I talked to his high school coach. He said they used to joke that he didn't have a spine because he just kind of serpentined his way out of tackles. They've been really good at that position.
Would you please use that like in one of your game stories? He serpentined his way to the end zone or something like that. I'd like to see you work that in.
I did in the Craver feature. Go back and shameless plug. Go back and find that.
All right. I will go back and take a peek at that. The defense at all levels, and again, they were missing a really good, Scooby's a nice linebacker, but as you brought up last time you were on, they had a player come in earlier in the season who's been one of the best players on defense. And of course, we know about Tari and York, but it's kind of coming. So it's interesting to me from a stop rate standpoint, like you talked about some of those other defenses, those guys are separated from A&M. But now if you start looking at like sacks, takeaways, fumbles created, first of all, I don't think it's always fair to come out against a team and go, well, they did play against the third quarterback at Missouri. Oh, was that their fault? Did A&M like make a call and go, we'd like for you to not play Bo Pribula this week? Would you guys mind putting in your second or third string quarterback? I don't understand those things. So what is the metric you would use if you were trying to say, hey, the A&M defense is every bit as explosive as, say, the Indiana and Ohio State? Would it be those sack totals and that type of thing?
Yeah, well, and to your point to a second ago, I mean, the committee already kind of put its foot in its mouth and set a precedent a couple of years ago when they left the undefeated Florida State out of the playoff because Jordan Travis was injured, and said, well, they wouldn't be the same team without this one player. So now they can go in and say something like, well, it was number 22 Missouri, but they didn't have one player, the quarterback, and he wasn't necessarily wasn't the same team, so they're going to dock A&M for that. When you talk about the defense, though, you're right. It is sack totals, it's tackles for loss, and it's third down a conversion defense. That there was a streak there from, I want to say it was like the Utah State game until the Arkansas game, where A&M allowed 5 third down completions in 5 games. It was like 5 for, I want to say like 45 or something like that on third downs. They lead the nation in third down completion percentage, and that's Mike Elko's bread and butter. He designs and dials up the exotic blitzes and does some crazy stuff when they get on third and long. That's what helped create that fumble recovery that went down to the 2 in the Missouri game. So it's third down is their bread and butter, and I would say third down defense, getting off the field, has been the thing that's been the most impressive for the Aggie defense.
Do you know the mayor of Bryan and some of the city council members? The reason I ask, you might want to tell them not to. People that go ahead and start sharing and talking about parade routes, there's usually some backlash to that. So tell them to settle. Where would a good parade route be, by the way? Do you think down University right there in front of Hullabaloo across from the Dixie Chicken? Would that be, or is that too crowded? Would you need a more open area, maybe right down like Texas? I'm just trying to think, or George Bush. Where do you think would be the best parade route for when they win this national title?
You probably got to go in the square around. Maybe they can bring it in on a train, kind of like they did with President Bush at his funeral. Maybe they can bring the team in on a train and stop it there, and then take them off the train and drive them around. I think that's the best way to do it in College Station. Is just bring it in on a train.
This feels very vaguely sacrilegious or something to compare it to George Bush's funeral. Yeah, but the train, I don't exactly know where that train goes. But one night I stayed in that conference center, and the old train was really getting after it, and so that'll be interesting. Well, it's a fun time to be there. It's a fun time to be covering the Ags. And again, you don't root for them, but what we do is we root for great stories. And when things are going well, like they are, by the way, this new AD, can you imagine like how this whole thing has changed? Woodward does that, hires Kim, they win a national title, hires the baseball coach, they win a national title or 2, and that governor took him out in the matter of like 2 or 3 days. Now we've seen there are politicians who can take down sitting presidents at A&M, but I think the AD right now is okay. All right, I think he's sitting pretty. But isn't that weird? Like how you would have one AD who seemed like a really, well-established, good reputation AD, and that dude's career came to a halt in short order in LSU after he was at A&M, and now you get a guy from Nebraska, and he's sitting pretty at this point.
Well, and you could get all the connections of how small of a world this is, because you have Scott Woodward out, former A&M AD, because A&M went in and beat LSU in that game. That started that whole contagion. Then you've got A&M on a collision course with Alabama. That's their AD is Greg Byrne. Bill Byrne, of course, was his father was a longtime AD at A&M. That connection, and then there might be on a collision course for a national title or a playoff game against Ohio State, which is Ross Bjork, the last AD that was here that left the job to go over to Ohio State. It's just going to be the parade. Talking about parades, it's the parade of former A&M AD and AD connections looking like through the remainder of this season if they continue on.
Okay, and by the way, when you're talking to Trev, tell him if they call about being the CFP chairperson to turn it down. Mack is having this happen. Jeff Long was the CFP chairperson. He was fired not long after that. And he was the chairperson when our alma maters were fighting it out to try to get in that playoff in 2014. That was Jeff Long. And they were propping up the freaking Minnesota Golden Gophers to try to keep them in the top 25 because they wanted that Ohio State's win to look good over Minnesota. That was I still will never forget that. That was Brent Musburger said to me, Travis, we had him on every week back then, and he said, lads, watch out for what they're going to do. They're going to try to get Ohio State in the Final Four. And if they didn't do it, and then, of course, Wisconsin didn't help by just laying down for Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game. But, if they had chosen TCU, I think Baylor people now say, well, we would have liked having the Big 12 represented. No, Baylor would have been can you imagine if they had said, okay, TCU represents the Big 12 when Baylor beat them head to head? Wow. So maybe for both fan bases, maybe there was some silver lining on all that, but that was a bad time to be a fan of our alma maters,
And you go back to that time too. You have now all this talk about expanding the playoffs and doing away with conference championship games. We've already done that experiment in the Big 12, where you just had to name co-champions, and then the conference wouldn't pick a side as to not make one a better option for the playoff. And we've already done all that, and it didn't work out well. So let's just keep the conference championship games.
All right. Great to visit with you. I will be on campus. It is Tri-Delt Parents Weekend, and I believe I'm being taken over to like a Pike. The Pikes are having a pregame. I'm afraid it'll be a little different than some of my pregames during my Baylor days, which I don't even remember seeing alcohol before a game, much less consuming any. So that'll be interesting. We'll be moving around campus, and that'll be too close to kickoff because there's no way I'm going to get out there by 8 for you to get to interact with me, because you like to get into the press box probably by 8 or 8:30. But anyway, I hope to see you soon. And what are you going to say?
Yeah, just swing by right there in Aggie Park, right where you'll be. We have our game day show that'll be right before the game. We'll be right there, so you can come see the magic as it's happening.
Ooh, the game day show. Yeah, right out there, Aggie Park. I know exactly where that is, in that distinguished alumni area. That was built by my buddy's company. That was the James R. Thompson company that built that beautiful new distinguished alumni right there by Aggie Park. So anyway, yes, I know where that is, and I'll swing by and wave at you or something. At least try to act like you know me. Anyway, I was trying to promote something. Your mom had some big fundraiser recently, and they had it at like one nostalgia place, Travis. I'm like, what is Travis Brown's parents? Well, they can't be going to an establishment like that. But then I remembered they're Methodist. So it's okay.
Yeah, that's the way it works.
Great to see you. I appreciate you doing this. Have a great day on the course.
Thanks. We'll see y'all.
There, you bet. There he goes. Travis Brown joining us from an academy parking lot. We're going to pick up some golf balls. It is a very busy time for him, but apparently he is going to be able to work in a round of golf, which I admire. Okay. I've always been known to get a round of tennis or golf in at times. Okay. much more on the Baylor situation. Mack Rhoades has taken a leave of absence. It's been reported that it's by his choice, and he'll be gone for 4 weeks, but more is coming out. During that interview, I probably had 7 calls, so I'm going to check everything. We're going to take care of our sponsors, and then we'll be back with you here in about 7 or 8 minutes. Much more to come on the Mack Rhoades investigation and the situation. That's next.